think in terms of the non-conference schedule, we've played an almost identical one in terms of either the actual teams last year and this year, or replacements with very similar in level. And it's a great measuring stick for us to be able to look at a 9-game stretch or whatever it is last year and then this year and see the complete difference against the same kind of teams in terms of shots and corners and attacking tendencies and chances and just being more dynamic. So that's been a big boost for our players to be able to be part of that as well.
I definitely think we've had a better start than last season. We've played a comparably similar season thus far. We haven't played maybe a team up to par as Pepperdine. I would say the closest game we've played was probably Purdue, and we were definitely in that game. It was a tough game at the end, but I definitely think we're off to a better start than last year going into the Big East season.
The 6-2-1 is really what we'd be looking at as opposed to maybe that third loss. You could look at a couple of those games and say they could have gone either way, but certainly we'd like to have maybe one shot back at one of those that we dropped. And overall, it's a better spot than we were going in last year, so I think it's been a pretty successful non-conference and certainly can't argue with 21 goals scored.
I would say our primary thing we've worked on this season was passing and receiving, connecting more balls out of the back, in the midfield, making sure our lines aren't as separated, and definitely keeping more possession than we have been.
Is the pass and receiving piece from last year that just allowed for too many breakdowns and not giving us chances in the final third to score goals. We really hit that hard from November through April, and then we got back after it again with that same theory of you've got to be able to connect passes to be able to create chances in the final third. And when you look at shots created, goals scored, all those things that we've talked about before, you can't argue with it that it hasn't worked for us so far. I think this is probably the deepest we've gone roster-wise in terms of quality over our 6 years here, and we've had some decent teams here in the past, but player 12 to 21 or whatever we're at with our non-injury situation, they've really helped us, and not only in training, but a lot of those kids have played minutes on the Friday, Sunday weekends where our starters, they can't give you 90 minutes a game, and I think that's been a big part of our success, getting us through those 48-hour turnarounds is the depth, and our reserves have really done a nice job of it so far this year. So opening up with the regular season and conference tournament champion at home for us, I think that's fine. I think we've had a rough, couple openings before in terms of just competition. We've had Georgetown, St. John's 2 years in a row, and they're perennially near the top, and now we've got DePaul, and I think it's going to be a great opening test for our kids. I think they're certainly more prepared each year for the conference. There's nothing you can do to replicate playing in this conference and against these opponents other than having a couple of years now for at least our juniors to have played a couple of years against these teams, and I think ultimately it'll give them a little more confidence when they step on the field.
The coaches have prepared us to hopefully be successful tomorrow and the next few games. And a lot of us feel a lot more comfortable this year than last year.